What did children do 5,000 years ago? Before empires rose, before languages were written, before the first stone was laid in the first pyramid, there were children, millions of them, running through streets that no longer exist, whispering secrets in languages no one alive can speak, holding toys that would one day be locked behind museum glass. They lived, they laughed, they loved. And then, one by one, they disappeared, not just from life, but from memory. Tonight, we are going to do something almost no one does. We are going to look for them. We are going to open a door that history tried to close 5,000 years ago. And what we find on the other side may not let you sleep the same way again. What did children do 5,000 years ago? In 1889, in a dusty corner of a Bronze Age settlement, archaeologists found something that made them go quiet. It was a small clay pot, roughly shaped, uneven, clearly made by tiny, clumsy hands. The fingerprints pressed into the wet clay were still there, 5,000 years old, perfectly preserved. They belonged to a child who lived, played, laughed, and then vanished from history without leaving a single word behind. We know almost nothing about them. But here is what is disturbing. We know almost nothing about any of them. Billions of children, thousands of years, an entire ocean of small human lives gone. And what they actually did all day is one of the darkest mysteries in human history.
Think about this for a moment. Every civilization you have ever read about, every empire, every ancient culture, was built and populated by children. More than half the population of the ancient world was under the age of 15. They were everywhere. And yet, when you open any history book, they are almost nowhere. No names, no diaries, no portraits, no voices. Just silence. The pharaohs were remembered. The soldiers were remembered. The priests, the kings, the poets. But the children who ran between their legs, who slept on the floors of their homes, who watched their parents die of plague, famine, and war, they are the missing chapter of human history. And when historians finally started looking for them, what they found was not childhood as we know it. It was something else entirely. 5,000 years ago, in ancient Mesopotamia, a child of 6 was already working. Not playing, not learning, not going to school. Working, grinding grain, carrying water, watching over younger siblings while their mother worked in the fields. By age 9, many were considered small adults. By age 12, some were already married. There was no such thing as being a kid. The concept did not exist. The word childhood, in the way we use it today, is barely 300 years old. Before that, a child was simply a small, unfinished worker. Something to feed, something to use, something that might die before it became useful.
And often, they did. In some ancient societies, nearly half of all children died before the age of 5. Parents did not always name their babies until they had survived their first year, because naming something you were likely to lose was simply too painful. Imagine that, an entire civilization where love had to be delayed, where mothers held their newborns without a name, just in case. Escalation phase. Layer 2. But this is where it gets stranger, because children in the ancient world did not just work. They also played. Archaeologists have found tiny clay dolls in Egyptian tombs, miniature chariots in Roman graves, small wooden horses in the Indus Valley, little rattles shaped like animals, board games with rules we still cannot decode, toys, 5,000-year-old toys, held by small hands that have long since turned to dust. And here is the part that will unsettle you. These children played the same games your children play today. They played hide and seek. They played with dolls. They wrestled. They chased each other. They made up imaginary worlds. They cried when they lost. They laughed when they won. Across 5,000 years, across every empire that rose and fell, across languages we have forgotten, and gods no one worships anymore, children played the same. Which means something inside a child, some deep, unchanging thing, has survived every collapse, every war, every apocalypse humanity has ever endured. Something in us refuses to grow up completely, even when the world burns.
Pattern interruption. Stop for a moment. Somewhere, right now, buried under sand or forgotten in a museum drawer, there is a tiny toy that once belonged to a child who died thousands of years ago. That child had a favorite game, a best friend, a joke that made them laugh so hard they couldn't breathe, a fear of the dark, a parent they missed when they were away. And all of it, every single memory, every emotion, every moment of that small life is gone forever. They existed, and now they don't. And no one alive today even knows their name. Now ask yourself something uncomfortable. In 5,000 years, who will remember you? Escalation phase, layer 3. But there is something else, something historians rarely talk about. In many ancient cultures, children were not just workers or dependents. They were witnesses. They witnessed public executions, sacrifices, slavery, battles fought in their own streets. In ancient Rome, children as young as 7 attended gladiator fights. In ancient Aztec society, children were sometimes chosen for ritual sacrifice, dressed in flowers, and led up the temple steps. Their tears were considered sacred. The more they cried, it was believed, the more rain the gods would send. Let that sit with you. Somewhere, 5,000 years ago, a child was crying, and an entire civilization was watching and thanking them for it. We tell ourselves that we protect children now, that we shield them from horror, that we give them innocence. But for most of human history, innocence was never on the table. Children were born into a world that used them, watched them, and buried them. And they endured. They played with clay dolls in the ruins of their villages. They laughed while empires collapsed around them. They grew up too fast, or not at all. Existential reframe. And here is the part almost nobody talks about. The children of 5,000 years ago are not really gone. Because everything you are, every instinct you have, every fear that wakes you up at 3 in the morning was shaped by them, by the ones who survived, by the ones whose genes were passed down through unimaginable suffering, generation after generation, till they finally became you. You are the descendant of every child who lived, and every child who almost didn't. Your fear of loud noises, your instinct to hold something soft when you are sad, your obsession with belonging, your terror of being abandoned, your need to be loved. None of it started with you. It was carved into your DNA by tiny, forgotten humans who were trying to survive worlds we cannot imagine.
You are not just a person. You are the final chapter of a story that has been written by children for thousands of years. Children who worked, children who played, children who died, children who lived just long enough to hand something down. And that something eventually became you. Think about this the next time you feel like an adult. Think about it the next time you feel lost, or tired, or afraid. Somewhere inside you is a 5,000-year-old inheritance. The laughter of a child in ancient Mesopotamia. The fear of a girl watching her village burn. The stubborn joy of a boy pressing his tiny fingerprints into wet clay because he wanted to make something. Because he wanted to be seen. That child was never remembered, but he lives inside you. whether you realize it or not. Every time you play, every time you cry, every time you hold something soft when the world feels too heavy, every time you look up at the stars and wonder why you are here. You are him, you are her, you are them. The past is not behind you. It is inside you.
5,000 years from now, some archaeologist may dig through the ruins of our world. They may find a phone, a photograph, a shoe, a toy. They will not know your name. They will not know what made you laugh. They will not know who you loved or what you feared, or the small moments that broke you and rebuilt you. You will be a fingerprint in the clay, a whisper without a voice. And somewhere in that dust, a child of the future will hold something you once touched. And for a single second, without knowing why, they will feel less alone. Because that is the strange, terrible, beautiful truth about being human. We forget almost everything. We lose almost everyone. But something small, something quiet, something almost invisible always survives. The child who pressed his hand into that clay 5,000 years ago did not know he was leaving a message for the future, but he was.
And so are you. Right now, in this exact moment, you are leaving fingerprints on the world, on the people you love, on the words you say, on the small, forgotten choices you make when no one is watching. You will not remember most of them, but someone someday will. Maybe a child not yet born, maybe a stranger 1,000 years from now, maybe a version of humanity we cannot even imagine. They will find a trace of you, and they will wonder who you were. So the real question is not what children did 5,000 years ago. The real question is, what will they say about you 5,000 years from now? If this story moved something inside you, stay a little longer, because there are more forgotten truths waiting on this channel. Stories history tried to bury, questions humanity forgot to ask. Subscribe, not for me, but for the child inside you who still wants to know.